Hi and welcome to NicheCraft. My name is Cassie and I'm your host, and today I am going to be showing you how I'm dyeing the next colorway in the Vice and Virtue line. So the Vice and Virtue color line is a set of 7 vices and 7 virtues. The vices are based on the 7 deadly sins, and the virtues are based on the 7 heavenly virtues. And this goes back way far into ancient Greece, probably even further. And I just thought it would be really fun to make a color series based on all of these, and I have done so many of them so far. But we are back to our vices this week, and I am going to be doing wrath. So when we're talking about wrath, we are talking about anger, but we're talking about a level of anger where it's almost like the anger possesses you. It's kind of a difficult emotion to talk about, but what most people associate with wrath is red. I'm sure you've heard the phrase seeing red. And for those of you who watch regularly, you will notice that the dyeing technique that I'm using is familiar because the last dyeing video that I did, I used this technique in. So we have 2 skeins of yarn. They're both 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. One of them's a DK weight and the other one is a sock weight. And we are going to start dip dyeing them. So as you can see, dip dyeing is a technique where you start dipping the yarn into the pot and you let it go deeper a little bit more until you get a very pastel color on the top. And we'll just look at the progress so far. You can see that this is definitely making a gradient. And I have a lot of acid in my pot. It can sometimes be more helpful to have a lot when you're doing dip dyeing because you want the color to bind to the yarn kind of quickly. That way the first part you put in binds super dark. So I have 4 tablespoons of vinegar and then my color, which for me is a Dharma acid dye in Fire Engine Red. And for you, if you want to do the same thing, all you have to do is add 12 cups of water to a pot like this, and instead of using the acid dye, you can use food coloring. And what I would suggest is 40 drops of red food coloring in there, and then add the 4 tablespoons of vinegar, and then dip dye it just like I did, and you'll create this kind of dipped look when you're done. Now mine's not completely done yet. We're going to wait until the water runs clear, which means that the yarn has absorbed all of the dye in it, and once it runs clear I'll show you what we're going to do next, because there is going to be a second part to how I'm making wrath. Alright, so check out this red, and isn't that a pretty gradient? Yeah, but I'm not done doing wrath. We're also going to add some black. And now that I have added black, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing as I did before, only if you might notice that I have the lighter color right here at the bottom, and I have the darker color here at the top. So what I'm going to be doing now is dip dyeing it a second time in black. And I'll just lift it up here so you can see that is a very inky black. So I'm hoping that the steam does not fog up my camera, but as you can see, we have some very deep, dark black, and then we have this bright, bright red here on the opposite ends, and then we have everything in between right there. So I'm going to let this set for about 30 minutes. I'm going to put this lid on so that it can steam set, and I will be with you at the table in just a second. All right, are you ready to see Wrath? Here we have Wrath, and we have this red extreme right on this side, and then we have the black extreme over here, and that is some pretty deep black right there, I think. This came out exactly the way I wanted it to, the two extremes, and then when we look at the entire skein, we can see how this red gets lighter and lighter, and this black just kind of climbs up, and you can see all of that in between. And I really feel like this looks a lot like what I was envisioning. I wanted this to be something that was a little bit more dark, and so the fact that you can see that black and gray travel all the way up the skein is exactly what I think visually this represents it well. And the fact that this red right here at the tip is so bright is exactly what I was going for, because it really comes up abruptly. But because this is more of a gradient, when working with this, it's not going to look as abrupt when knitting with it or crocheting with it, because you're going to start on one extreme and there's going to have all of this gradual, it's going to be a gradual over to red, and then it's going to go back to black, and so it's not going to be as abrupt, so it won't be as shocking as I suppose the skein looks when it is laying like this, because this has some pretty shocking details here on these two ends. So let me show you the sock one. So this is the 3-weight DK, and this is made of the same fiber. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon, perfect for making sweaters, socks, just anything that has a little bit of give. And we have the bright red on one side and the black on the other side, and all of those in between. I think that this is just about perfect. And the one thing that I'm going to go do differently with the ones that are ordered from my shop, because I will be putting this in my Etsy store, is that when I get to the end, when I'm dipping into the black, I want to make sure that I leave some of it out of the pot so that some of the red is pure. There's no black in it. Now, it might be kind of hard to see any gray, because that's what it would really be at the very end of this, but I just want to make sure that that red is as shocking as possible. So even though this red is very bright and you can hardly see any gray in it at all, in person, if you look closely, you can. And I just want to make sure that the red is as bright and red as possible. So that would be the only difference that I'd make between this and what I'll be selling. So I am really, really happy with this end result. That said, I hope that you enjoyed watching my video. I really appreciate all of you guys who watch my videos and comment and tell me what you think about them, and I'm really excited how many of you really enjoy watching me dye yarn. That is so exciting for me. I just wanted to say, make sure that you like, make sure you comment if you have anything to say about this, and also subscribe. I've got giveaways going on, and I do other yarning content, of course, as well. I get so excited when I see the channel growing. So thank you all for everything that you're doing out there. I really appreciate it. If you would like to purchase Wrath or any other color in the Vice and Virtue colorways, go ahead and check out my Etsy shop. I have all of the Vice and Virtue colors that I've done so far listed there. I will see you soon in another video. Bye for now.